All right. The Japanese and the Ethiopians.
All right, so
Wait, you're gonna stream it Twitch?
yeah, we're live with the match of Pat versus Jeff.
You gotta do that screen share though.
Let me make sure it's streamed.
It's not. There we go.
All right, here on the cast, I'm joined by Keegan and Al. Al, how are you feeling about this matchup?
I think it's gonna be a really interesting matchup because like Jeff hasn't played in a while. I don't know what Jeff's day has been like. So he had a lot going on. So I'm expecting to see some kind of slip ups from this guy. That'll hopefully cause some things that happen with Pat that give him some pretty good favor.
Slipsky's bro is definitely what we're expecting out of Jeff. As we look over to Pat, Jeff is playing. Before we move on, Jeff is playing his standard Japanese. We have Pat on the Ethiopians. Not really sure what to expect out of this, except in early housing. Already housed. That is rough for Pat.
I was gonna say, do you think that was a random pick? That's just like whatever maybe he wanted, or the Ethiopians is a strategic thing?
With the amount that Pat typically likes to talk about different strategies, you got to imagine he's got something in mind here.
Right.
Both players just kind of taking a small approach in that early housing, not seeing Pat fall behind too much. Pat or Al, out of your experience with the tournament, what would you expect out of both of these players as far as strategy?
Jeff is just so aggressive. He's gonna be fucking aggressive. He's gonna try to castle in. Like he's gonna stick to what he knows. He's gonna expand. He's gonna fucking boom it. Pat is a defensive player. I know he's been working on being more aggressive, but he's got a strategy. He came at me. He tried to archer rush me, which is something I totally didn't expect. And if he can get something like that off on Jeff early game, man, like that would just fucking give Jeff a bad time.
This is true. Jeff, outside of his match against Twitch, really hasn't had to contend with much early aggression. Really gotten to take control of the map and do that castle rush that you've talked to.
Yeah.
Speaking of early aggression, scouting is very important in any kind of early aggression. And if we look, it looks like Pat might actually have a chance to run into Jeff's early settlement here.
Oh yeah, there he is. He's running straight to the heart of it.
Yep, he has found it. So Pat has the option available to him if he wants to get aggressive early. That could have a huge effect on this game. And it doesn't even look like Jeff really, if he wasn't paying attention, he might have missed that scout.
No, it looks like Jeff's returning the favor.
He's coming in close. Let's see how far away he is. Oh, yep, he's on a collision course, so we're going to have both players knowing where each other are very early on. This is... Yeah, he's got the gold, but is he going to run into Pat? Ooh. Doesn't look like we've seen him at all. Oh, no. He's just going to miss him and then veer off into the other direction. So we're going to see a little bit of one-sided in terms of information, at least for the start of the game. Pat knowing where Jeff is. Jeff continuing to boom. Got a pretty strong economy going here already. He's already got about 10 people on wood. Hasn't yet started building farms. And just able to keep villager production at a pretty good clip. If we look to villagers, Jeff is about 3 ahead, which it might be that early housing that Pat saw, but that is pretty significant. And it does look like he's going to close the gap and find Pat.
How do you think he's got his guy on auto scout now, or do you think that he's like mental attention trying to find Pat?
That seemed more direct than I would expect out of an auto scout. Pat has brought his scout back in. I would guess that neither player is opting to auto scout, so based on what we're seeing here. So far it doesn't look like Pat is using either of his boars currently. Maybe that's playing a role. Jeff also not opting to boar. We've seen almost no boars in this game. the early cows on Lombardia are really providing a good basis of food. So the lack of boar not hurting as much as it would on a normal map.
I don't know. I think Jeff is actually controlling his scout.
Yeah.
I was just looking at like his view in the fog of war or whatever, and he has found the outskirts of Pat's settlement, but it looks like Pat's now building more where he just was.
Ooh, and we have a chance, and it does look like Jeff is going to snipe down Pat's scout as it comes for a second run into Jeff's base. That vital information, that scout is going to see that Jeff doesn't have any military buildings down, but it doesn't look like Pat's going to opt to really take much advantage of that. Both players knowing where they are, but neither really opting to get aggressive. After kind of seeing these early moves, Jeff finally going for his boar, in terms of neither player opting to be very aggressive. What would you expect to see out of these players for the rest of the game, Al?
Man, it looks like they're both trying to get into the booming situation, but man, if Jeff beats Pat into it and Jeff starts castling, that's the end of Pat. I don't know what. I mean, I know that Pat knows he needs to be more aggressive, so you might see some early game aggression, but we're already pretty deep in for early aggression.
Yeah, looking like both players on about 22 villagers. Pat finally going for his boar, and it looks like Fast Castle 27 villagers might be the earliest that we see. Jeff still with a oscillating between a 3 and a 2 villager advantage here, as both players just going into that heavy farming. Each player has about equal numbers on wood and food, and Pat building a slew of houses.
He doesn't want to get housed again.
No.
That's a strategy.
Yeah, so the boar provides a good amount of food. As you'll notice, these villagers here can carry up to 35 food when harvesting for a boar. So that's fewer round trips and quite a lot of food per boar. In exchange for the fact that they can kill a villager if you're not careful. Neither player losing a villager, which would just, further widen any gaps we're seeing in villagers. But again, mostly houses coming out from both players. Jeff at a full 29 villagers without having yet gone for the feudal age. This is economic. This is just all in on Dark Age economy in a way that I don't know that we've seen out of another game here. Jeff,
do you think that they're both planning early game? They're both defending.
Yeah. It just seems to be pure economic driving here. Although Pat, finally, both players coming out with the feudal age. Jeff just a touch ahead, and Pat had a little bit of idle villager time, but now he's starting to build some farms, and he even has some gold on the way. Nice balanced strategy. 28 villagers for Pat. And both players actually neck and neck somehow at 28 villagers. I wonder if Jeff might have lost a villager to a boar here, as the game is just neck and neck going into feudal age.
Wow. Yeah.
We do see Jeff already popping down his barracks, though, in case he wanted to get aggressive, but also building walls.
Whoa!
So, uncommon maneuver out of Jeff. Pat finally going into his barracks. About that 50%.
Man, I don't know what's going to happen in this fucking game now.
Wow.
Uncharacteristic moves out of both players. This should prove to be an interesting one. We came in thinking it was going to be, and I don't think we're going to be disappointed.
Yeah, wow.
And Jeff hits feudal first. Immediate upgrades queued up for wheelbarrow and some more site for his buildings.
Interesting.
Wasting no time with those economic upgrades. And continuing to pump out villagers as Jeff takes a marginal lead again. First things coming out, Pat does just look like he is going for more villagers. Nothing major. Ooh, the immediate market blacksmith, so a fast castle opening for sure from Pat here. as it does look like he's a little behind in his food production, but he's hoping that by the time these 2 buildings are done, he's going to be able to go straight to castle, although he's also opting for some economic upgrades around gold mining, so maybe a bit of an eclectic approach. And Jeff, it looks like he's already got military units on the way, as he is breaking out skirmishers. Could we be seeing some sort of feudal age rush out of Jeff? Yep. Jeff building some skirmishers for early defense and moving toward castle a little slower than Pat, opting for the archery range and the blacksmith, which will open up that castle age upgrade, but his economy is a little behind. Still needing some more gold to really get there. With the blacksmith out, it looks like Jeff is opting for both his... He's just going to queue up all of the upgrades, infantry and archery. Really, really stinking of some early aggression from Jeff here.
This is fucking wild. This is totally not at all what I had anticipated.
Right.
Yeah,
No, not at all.
So far, strategies I don't think any of us here in the commentator booth would have expected out of either player. Pat, if we look at the scoreboard, was lagging in villagers early on, but here with Jeff getting aggressive, has actually taken the lead.
Oh wow.
But it does look like Jeff has been cranking out a couple more upgrades since getting to feudal. But if I had to bet on somebody to make it to castle first, Pat has a clear path there, as Jeff appears to be going skirmishers and spearmen. Really, really stinking of some early aggression from Jeff here.
I wonder if both of their sort of respect for each other's game plan kind of forced them both to go defensive, and just kind of leading to what we're seeing right here, you know?
Yeah, both
Yeah, I
players.
think that's exactly what it is.
Both players opting to be cautious, but not overly so.
Right, absolutely. They both have the ability to strike, but they just haven't cocked their fists back yet.
Yeah.
Well, they're both building buildings of war.
Yeah, and we've got a full stables coming out. All three aggressive buildings. It looks like we might have some fireworks here in the feudal age. And Pat, while Jeff is opting for the skirmishers and the spearmen, Pat is opting for archers and longswordsmen. Could be kind of interesting if we see an early clash. Yep, we always refer to that one as a big psychological drain on anyone who it happens to. Al, how do you think these players are feeling after getting housed? I think we're seeing some compensation out of Pat, as we have about 7 houses going down in response to that.
Oh my god, I mean, he's got an abundance of wood, so why not if it's gonna cost you attention? But damn, he just straight up built a planned neighborhood.
He does not want to get housed again. You can really see that. And interestingly enough, both players have slowed down their villager production to kind of put forth these armies, but so far we don't see any aggression out of them. Is that going to be worth their investment? Al, who do you see going aggressive first in this matchup?
Man, it's gonna be Pat. Pat's gonna go aggressive first, and I'm only thinking that because Pat knows he needs to be more aggressive. And I think that he's gonna try to overcompensate that. Now that they're this far in the game without seeing each other. I mean, plus Pat's backed into a corner. He's more threatened than Jeff is, I'm sure.
Yeah, and we saw, both players know where each other's bases are, but no vision for either side for about 5 to 10 minutes now. They don't really know what the other one. Both of them are kind of holding their cards close to the chest. Jeff got a pretty good bevy of spearmen and skirmishers here, so if Pat moves forward with those archers and scout cavalry that he's putting forward, it could be a bad time for him. Oh, and we do have Castle Age coming out. Jeff, also having completed a good amount of upgrades, kind of has a nice open path and good motivation to get to Castle, though I think we're still waiting to see some of those upgrades come out from Pat. And if we look at the villager count, still neck and neck. Both players have kind of followed a little bit of an irregular pattern compared to what we're used to, compared to what people would say is orthodox, but still remaining neck and neck. I mean, that's just a sign that we're in for a great rest of this match. Yep, no upgrades yet coming out for Pat. It looks like if we look over to Jeff's units, it looks like we have both the armor and the damage upgrades for both his skirmishers and his spearmen. Oh, and it does look like Pat has come in with an attempt to raid some scout cavalry, but Jeff sees it coming from a mile away, and he is able to garrison his villagers in there. Those scout cavalry, though, are going to quickly realize there's a tower there and nowhere to run. Ooh, a thin gap between the two buildings, and they're out. Of course, this looks to have costed Jeff no attention or no resources, but definitely a lot of attention. And Pat now is going to crucially have the upper hand in information. What do you think Pat's going to do with that information? He's seen what Jeff's army is. He's seen what Jeff's base looks like. Where does he go from here, Al?
Go ahead, Keegan. Take this one.
Oh, it looks like he's starting to mobilize some archers. Looks like he might be mounting. Now that he knows what he's up against, it looks like he's now mounting that army to be aggressive. Also, Castle Age now coming up too.
Yep. So it may be feeling a little bit of pressure from Jeff there as Jeff hits Castle Age first. Oh, and we have the archers firing on Jeff's scout cavalry, who's getting a look at what he's up against with Al's army or with Pat's army. Seeing the archers, seeing the couple of long swordsmen, you know, you got to see with that many archers and Jeff mostly being composed of skirmishers, Jeff has to like what he sees there. It'll be interesting to see what Al opts for in Castle Age, as well as the Japanese infantry attacking quicker will have the advantage against Pat's long swordsman there. So Jeff probably feeling pretty good at this stage of the game. But finally going to catch up with the blacksmith upgrades just a bit, and it looks like like you called out earlier there, he is mobilizing.
Yep, there they go.
This could lead to some real economic damage. Ooh, he's building a castle.
Ooh, a castle and a monastery coming out from Jeff. Could he be trying to go fast Imperial here, even skipping the castle itself, as he only has a small amount of stone production currently? He's got pretty comfortable with those walls. He's brought out some crossbowmen and blacksmith upgrades coming out from both players. Things are heating up. I'd expect to see some aggression here soon. Oh, I spoke too soon though.
And there it is.
Yep. Jeff's outnumbered crossbowmen just get pegged down by those archers, though they take out most of Pat's long swordsmen in the meantime. And what those bowmen are going to find, though, is a totally undefended village. But those arrows, not very good at taking down the buildings. They're just going to fire at that marketplace. In the meantime, I did speak too soon, as Jeff has built a castle a safe distance from Pat's base. He's kept most of his forces aside to defend that, but that could become a thorn in Pat's side that he just doesn't even have any idea about.
It looks
he's
like
got to go to that wood line.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to go to that wood line. Why is he attacking that marketplace?
Yep, it just might be some poor micromanagement here, but those archers not the most effective firing at that marketplace. We have crossbows coming out for Pat shortly, but so far, you know, he's won the fight in the military sense, but he's not doing the damage he wants with this early aggression. And we've got the skirmishers coming in with the spearmen and the scout cavalry. Oh, they are... And it looks like Pat's men are getting attacked. Oh, but now they turn. They're just tearing through the spearmen, but the skirmishers are slowly taking them down. Really, the spearmen tanking the majority of that, and it looks like the skirmishers are set up well. Even upgrades out of both sides. In fact, Pat actually being a little bit higher, but those skirmishers just so effective against those crossbowmen. That is going to be the full army of Pat dealt with without... Before it could deal really any significant damage, and there we're going to get Jeff's signature. We see the samurai coming out. We've got a second castle. This is going to very quickly be very difficult to unseat for Pat.
The old back door. It's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a classic Jeff maneuver. And if we take a brief moment in between the action to take a look at the villager counts, both competitors still neck and neck. Jeff obviously with that last skirmish leading in military, but villager counts are still very close, so both of these men have firepower to just keep going in this war. Let's take a peek. It's been a little bit since we've looked at Pat's base. Al, describe to me what you're seeing here. We've got a castle out, but what do we think?
He's definitely trying to be defensive. I think he's like, he's on guard now. He knows that, his army didn't line up correctly. He's got some different stuff in the mix, though. It looks like he's going a lot of cavalry, which will be cool because, like, he's trying to take down those fucking anti-archers, the skirmishers. So I think we're definitely going to see some more, defensive maneuvers.
And we've got the walls coming out. Pat?
It looks like his wall is going to be too wide, though. It's going to end up, he's going to run into those castles.
Just incredible to watch two players who seem to hate turtling so much that they are just going for it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we do have, that's his response. It seems like, and Pat is going in for more cavalry. He's seen the skirmishers and starting to go for some knights. A nice army of knights and cavalry archers to kind of chew through those enemy forces.
So the difference between knights and samurai, what are the major trade-offs and differences? If any offhand that you'd know.
The biggest things you're going to be considering with the knights is their speed advantage. They're not only good fighters face to face, but they also make great raiding units because they can dodge in and out. As well as, like most cavalry units, they're going to have much more HP comparatively. And it looks like we have another raid from Pat coming out, but it is, again, crossbowmen just thwarted by those skirmishers.
I think he's probing defenses.
And it does look like we have some samurai. So the other disadvantage of the samurai compared to the knights is that they do not have as much HP, but in terms of damage output, they're going to be neck and neck. And it looks like this army is a little too much for Jeff's samurai to handle. However, if they can lure them back in range of the castle, they could be good. But, with their superior numbers, they're able to overwhelm a couple knights. But, that is not a conclusive fight for Jeff. And it looks like we've got the special units, the Shoto Warriors, who have high damage output but low HP, are trying to do some damage to the castle, but this is going to be maybe a little too much for Pat to overturn as those castle arrows just tear through the men. So despite an initial loss, Jeff recovers and chews through most of Pat's army. We're gonna see a close match. Ooh, and more crossbowmen going into the samurai meat grinder. If we look at what Jeff has now, Al, you've experienced this yourself. From your perspective, what does Pat want to do to get out of this situation, to really break this? Oh my
Christ. Well, he can't be using the special units, that's for damn sure. I mean, he needs some kind of siege unit because, fucking auger would work all right, but I mean, he's going to keep putting things into that fucking wood chipper. I mean, he's got to do archers or something, I don't know, man.
Trebuchets, I think, honestly, and he's going to have to do that patented Twitch move of 3 or 4 trebuchets with good defense.
Yeah.
And as well, the samurai having bonus damage against those special units. Oh, and Jeff doing some economic damage, samurai raiding the woods. That is going to be rough. Jeff also building a second and third town center, one right outside of Pat's. Let's see what that's going to do to the villager count. So far, neck and neck, except for the villagers killed by the samurai, and looks like those villagers are going to have to abandon their fields. If we look at Pat, is there anyone to really protect them? It does not look so. No more military units are really able to be fielded as another set of Shoto Warriors runs into the meat grinder of those castles. They do have high damage output, but they are just dropping like flies under the withering fire.
Oh no, he's blowing them up.
And meanwhile, while that is happening, the samurai are absolutely just wreaking havoc. They're into the gold production. They're knocking down some houses.
Oh, they're killing the priests.
It is just
Oh,
a
my goodness.
nightmare up here for Pat.
Oh, we have some siege engines.
We do have some Ongers, but unsupported. It'll be interesting to see if they can do anything to the Samurai. It appears not, as it already falls. This is just going to be a tough time. Although Pat making use of the unique fact of the Shoto Warriors that with an upgrade they are produced very, very quickly. And it does look like he is opting to go for the cockroach strategy.
Yep, I was just noticing.
Good for him.
Yeah, and it's hard to blame him, as these Samurai are just running roughshod over the rest of Pat's original base. And, with that cockroach strategy, not often seen, but he's able to produce a good amount of these Shoto Warriors to go assist in that cockroach strategy. So not only do we have villagers who've run away, but you have some military units to support them right now.
And I'm looking at Jeff's defense. Other than those walls and that little army of skirmishers, it does not look like he has much back here to defend.
Yep, we have those same skirmishers who've been keeping him safe. Not a ton of upgrades done just yet, but yeah, if Pat were to move in with those Shoto Warriors, he might have a fair shot at really disrupting Jeff's economy, and that might be his one key back into the game. As after those raids, we look at the villager count, and it is 63 to 34 with Jeff a commanding lead now.
Although he's building more castles in his original base.
So this task getting more difficult as we speak, and as you called out, it does look like Pat is going to take his shot. Those Shoto Warriors should be able to tear into these skirmishers if they appear to be instead opting for the building. Oh, but no, a couple are splitting off and seeing if they can defeat the skirmisher army, and they are just tearing through them. That building, it might pay off. Jeff's blacksmith is going down rather quickly, and that is opening the floodgates for those Shoto Warriors to go in and wreak havoc. But they seem to be just kind of admiring their work for now. As the Samurai are kind of doing counter pressure, Shoto Warriors moving in. It looks like we have a villager in there as well. And they're just foregoing attacking villagers and going straight for the town center.
Let's see
how this plays out for Pat.
This is a message he's trying to send.
Oh yeah.
This isn't even about winning. This is just about sending a message.
And we see the garrison.
Wow.
The Shoto Warriors start to fall, but that town center is just falling faster. He might lose a lot of men in this, but
oh my god.
You know what, Val? I've got one thing to say. Message sent.
Message fucking sent.
Wow.
We saw the value of a psychological victory in our last game.
Wow.
And it is coming out here.
Oh, he's destroying military buildings. Here we go.
Another group of skirmishers answering to the barracks. I don't know if he's paying attention. He might be building another castle up here. Oh, another town center, it looks like.
Does look like, yep, we've got another town center coming out of Jeff. So again, huge psychological win from Pat. But will it be enough in the end? That is the question.
Jeff's Samurai are attacking a castle, and I'm not sure if he knows that.
Yep, it doesn't look like that castle has the benefit of murder holes, so it is just totally unable to defend itself right now.
Oh, wow, because they're not at a range.
Mm-hmm.
Oof. There's the siege engines.
Yep, so Jeff really reformatting and still kind of methodically taking down Pat's base, who has opted to build yet another town center with a second castle in the back of his base. Excellent call out there. And another town center. So Pat, despite losing a town center, is now...
This is the battle worth seeing.
Oh, the bear and the maiden bear.
Get some. Boom, bitch, got him.
Yeah. And the maiden prevails. So it looks like after that raid and really owing to a lot of the military activity going on, it doesn't look like Jeff has been opting to build villagers. So Pat, here at only 55 to 38, with these 3 town centers, Pat has a legitimate chance to catch up and mount a comeback. Not something we often see.
Like he found his other town center, though.
Ooh, and with the Rams coming in and still no murder holes up for Pat, that castle is not going to have a good time. It looks like we have the villagers. Oh, but he's got the villagers going into the town center to defend it. This might stand a chance. Oh, but it looks like the Rams are soaking up the bulk of the arrow fire.
Yeah, wow.
Leaving the samurai to just do their work. That is just unfortunate, but that is exactly what the Rams are for.
They're so underrated, I think. Honestly, battering ram is probably the most effective of the siege engines, in my opinion.
Yeah, better than the more popular in this tournament, the trebuchet, but better than that, it comes out earlier and can just soak up damage, really leaving Jeff's army unhindered to just tear through. And in terms of speed, it's really hard to beat those Rams for just how quickly they take down buildings.
I was going to say, a fully upgraded battering ram, if you have the ability to make them, it's almost not worth like invading another town unless you have one in your army.
And it does look like Jeff is opting to go up to Imperial Age. Pat once again housed. We once saw him throw down 7 houses out of frustration. Let's see how he responds to being housed and in a corner now.
What is his response?
Looks like we've got a lone Shoto warrior against the world. But a Mangonel, gonna see how that lines up against those skirmishers.
Oh no. He's gonna find that other base, it looks like. Oh, is he going right past it?
Oh.
Oh my goodness.
More focused on the Mangonel. And he just misses it. So Pat still alive, still with one more base left to try and rebuild, as he's actually built yet another one at the top, but no major villager production out there just yet. Really, for those of you in the audience who are a fan of the cockroach strategy, you've just got to love to see what Pat is doing right now.
And look, a continuation of it as 3 of those villagers are getting pulled up north, it looks like.
Yep. New base, and there it is, the housing complex.
There's a housing market. It's back.
Housing market. Some would say it's just a bubble, but hey, if you believe those properties are going to be there in the longer than the next 30 years, more power to you. As the samurai tear down yet another town center and just absolutely pillage the village.
At this point, though, the more people that he kills, the better, because now he can actually produce military.
And we've got spies coming out from Jeff. How do you feel about that?
Lame.
Game.
Fucking lame.
That's game.
Stupid.
Al, do you feel that this cheapens the win at all?
Yeah, I do. I've done it. It just feels cheap. Cheap way to win. Dog shit.
So you would have been mad if I wondered you, because I was really trying to. I really could have done that. Just started building a wonder at one
would have been
point.
interesting. That would have been really interesting, because you kind of would have forced my hand a certain way. But honestly, fucking spies are just the worst, because then you can't cockroach anymore.
Right.
It's just not fun for anyone. Jeff, in addition to the spies throwing down watchtowers, keeping a watchful eye on this housing complex, really kind of turning this into some project housing, under the watchful eye of Uncle Jeff.
Oh my god.
Oh, and the Rams are streaming in. Oh, just absolutely tearing down the last remnants of what.
Oh, and his samurai.
Upgraded to Elite Samurai. This surely spells the end.
Oh, he's high stepping into the end zone now.
Yeah. And as we look around, Jeff harvesting what used to be Pat's gold looks like a little bit of a victory dance. And with those spies, unfortunately, he's going to know that this is the last base that Pat has, fanning out the samurai to make sure there's no spare villagers, nobody escaping, and just really looking to close it out.
God, they're so fast.
Right? Great game. Oh, there was another town center down here.
Oh shit, on the bottom?
Yeah. I didn't see this.
What?
And
oh wait, no, that's
Jeff's.
That's Jeff's. Okay. He was taking somebody down there, it looks like. Oh, they're fighting a bear.
Got a little more bear action.
I got him.
Oh, and there's one villager. He's trailing his stream of samurai, trying to keep the village intact. As that housing complex is demolished. Unfortunate turn for the projects.
Hey, Al, can you guys just go look at the very top of the map?
Oh my
Christ! Oh boy!
One last stand. The Alamo.
The last vestige. Pat is just building himself one last cottage to hang out in. Up in the cold, snowy mountains, nice isolation from the rest of society. Will Jeff allow it? That's the big question. It's really the last thing Pat has to cling to on this map. And it does not look so.
So what's the advantage here? Oh, here they come.
This is just a way for him to make peace and kind of build a nice little sarcophagus for his people. That's all this is.
Yep.
Oh, he's double layering the walls.
I don't really think there's any hope here. We're gonna see Samurai making quick work of the wooden portion of the wall, and then starting into the stone wall, which it's gonna take a little bit more time. Can Pat build more walls in time? They're repairing the walls. Oh, and there it is. We have the G3.
Oh man, that was funny. That was fucking funny. That was so funny.
To be in game chat for that.
Oh man, what a great way to end it.
What a phenomenal game, and it looks like we already have one of the players coming off of the field. Jeff, how are you feeling after yet another win?
I'm feeling good. Definitely
a little relieved
because I definitely anticipated a good match from Pat, which is what I saw. For a moment there, I was starting to anticipate just a base switch. For a while, I did not realize he was in, my town with onagers and Ethiopian warriors slaughtering the women and children. But
don't laugh at that; it's a tragedy.
But I think what happened there is I was able to get his flank a little bit faster than he got mine, and it paid off.
How did it feel when you finally did rebuild that town center? That was a big loss. It was a scary moment in the middle of the game. How did that feel?
Well, it felt like a big old perseverance. Kind of like rebuilding after a hurricane or forest fire. Maybe a bad move, but I'll be damned if someone else tells me how to live my life.
And kind of with that theme, there were some in the casting booth who said you might have been able to close it out without resorting to those dirty, dirty spies. What would you say to those critics?
Wait, you did spies?
Yeah, pretty much immediately. Now, could I have closed it out? Yes, but when it comes to securing a victory, sometimes you just got to make the moves. I've been bit before by not spying up, and I'll take it.
Well,
I'm fucking bad.
Excellent. Yeah. Excellent game.
I gotta ask, Jeff and
Yeah.
Pat. Throughout
Yeah.
the game, you guys both had some, similarities, but one of the biggest similarities I saw was that both of you guys had attacked a bear in the match. Pat, I think we saw you have one lady villager take down the bear. Jeff, you had like 3 people take down a bear, and I think they were all men. What would you say that says about the other team's society?
Personally, as the Ethiopians, there's a lot of strong matriarchal history in that culture, and Jeff played as misogynists, so I think ultimately
Japanese.
It's not a happy story, but it is the one that we told here today.
Well, I will assess the group that did take down the bear happened to be a group of 5 with 3 men and 2 women, well diversified.
And it was a total accident.
And it was.
I'm sorry. I guess by the amount of time it took, I just didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. So the bear, the instance that I can think of, unless there was another I was unaware of, the instance I can think of was a bear was lured to my village by one of those Ethiopians, and so I killed the Ethiopian first, and then turned my attention to the bear.
What a different narrative. Perspective's everything, I think, in that situation.
Yeah.
And victors write history.
They do. If we could, we would ask that Ethiopian man, but he's dead.
What were to bring it back to the game briefly? What were your thoughts? What thoughts were running through your head in those first initial skirmishes? Pat threatened your village pretty early on with a strong archer army. What was going through your head then?
So there was definitely some concern. I think what kind of helped abate that pretty quick is he spent his time attacking the market. And arrows are not notoriously strong fighting buildings. I knew I had some skirmishers, in the hilltop pocket back there, so I brought them down and figured they could do some work while more were produced. There was some anticipation, but ultimately I felt confident in my ability to handle it.
And handle it you did. Congratulations again on the match. And are there any matches left in the tournament that you're looking forward to?
I am looking forward to that match with Robbie, as I do get to play as Bourbon Jeff.
Oh shit!
Definitely brings out a wild card opportunity.
How
no
come
one
I
really
didn't
knows.
get Bourbon Jeff?
Because to be fair, it wasn't marked in the schedule as such, and I kind of just forgot. And I think I worked the next day. A lot of factors, but I am willing to rematch that as Bourbon
It's
Jeff.
okay. No, it's fine.
If you give me just a brief 30 minutes.
You earned that win. Be proud of it.
I think I can find him.
Oh. Well, Jeff, congratulations again on the win, and good luck in the rest of your matches.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Yeah.
GG, Jeff. That was fun.
Thanks, Pat.
It's fun until there's like 5 villagers left, and then it's like, all right, I lost.
Dude, you built the best last vestige for your people, though. That was the funniest fucking thing to watch.
I needed 49 stone at one point to be able to build another castle, and I knew that if I could have a market and a castle open at the same time, I was at least good to pester him for another 10 minutes. So I just didn't end up with the stuff.
So Pat, going into that, what were you feeling? What did you think was gonna happen?
So to be honest with you, until you mentioned it, I didn't know archers weren't good against buildings, which is something I will now take into other games. But that was my hope in there. I've been testing out the Ethiopian archer group for a while now. But yeah, I mean, I think Jeff just outplayed me. I think it was a well played match. There's not really a lot of comments I have because it was just he made the same decisions I did, honestly, in a lot of ways, but better. So.
It's really funny that you say that because I had anticipated you doing some early aggression and Jeff doing some early aggression, but both of you guys turtled at the beginning. What do you think that was about?
I misclicked and was high at the very beginning of the game. Literally was looking at like what I had written down for my build order, and I was like, oh, I forgot to put house at the start. I guess I'll turtle. And luckily, Jeff also had decided to do a little bit of an econ turtle. But ultimately,
I was gonna say the first like military building that was really built near someone else's border was a castle. So I mean, it was like you guys both waited really kind of till late game to be more aggressive.
yeah, it was a good match. I would love to get a friendly in if anybody else is interested in doing such.
I could swing a friendly.
Just a little Roshi and Bowman.
I mean,
Twitch, are you in? Are we gonna have a 5-man free for all?
If more than one person is into this, then I'm.
You guys go ahead, but Twitch is going to bed.